I want to demonstrate today some of the scripting that Ryan and I have done to make my independence window give me some information for a single case research design instead of just a qualitative design. There are things I need to calculate from every single video, including the percentage of time the student was working with assistance. These are my questions here. How long until the first question was asked or the student received help? And these two questions down here, how many times did the student ask for assistance and how many times did the student receive assistance? These are all things that I want to graph. If you're wondering why I have both of these questions here, I want to see if these are the same numbers for every student. So how many times did they ask for assistance versus how many times they received it. If they ask for it more times than they receive it, perhaps the teacher didn't have enough time to get around to all the students. But if they received help more than they asked for it, perhaps that student doesn't have the self-monitoring skills necessary to request help when they should be asking for it. Maybe the teacher's just noticing it and the student wasn't actually asking for it. So I think it's important to make that distinction. So these numbers, I could spend time taking notes every single lesson and trying to calculate, but I don't think it would be very accurate. So using the video, I can have this code window with these scripts put in so that every time I put, I actually have it running in the background, that same coded video from last time, I can actually just hit the execute button and it'll take whatever I have running in the background, that code, and calculate these things for me. I can very easily take these numbers and move them into Excel or there's something in this program that I can do as well. But if I want to be able to graph things, super easy that I can take my coded movies and it calculates these for me. What I have here, you can see open over here is the inspector. This is some of the things I had written for coding. A lot of this are just things that I had written myself before Ryan started to help me. He had taught me about a month ago about writing variables, so I have named a whole lot of variables here that I could use for different show statements, and I was kind of copy-pasting out of this main one into my other questions. And before he had helped me just the other day, I was wondering why some of this wasn't working, and I just want to point out one important thing, because this is something I didn't realize, clicking on this ruler-looking icon here. I did not have this button checked right here, this show output. So every time I hit execute on coded videos, I was not getting the output that I needed, and now simple fix, just wanted to point that out in case if somebody else did not know that they have to have that button checked, which totally makes sense. I want to be able to show the output in these boxes. So in each of these boxes are my main questions, and this particular box, I have two different ways to show how much time was working with assistance. I actually used the timer command to show a full timer so I can see minutes and seconds for how long the student was working. And what it says was this teacher assisted the student for 44 seconds out of 3 minutes and 57 seconds during the independent work period. And then I also had it write the percent for me so that if I adjusted things on my timeline over here, it would automatically adjust those numbers. So I can either calculate it in just minutes, or I think even more meaningful is 19% of the time. Over here, this is also a duration question. How long until the first question was asked? It was 1 minute and 23 seconds in. We want to see how quickly the student can get to work. Are they asking for help immediately, or are they attempting to work on their own? That says a lot about independence. And then over here, you can see that this was just one-on-one with Ryan pretending to be the student. So he asked for help for 3 times, and I came and gave him help 3 times. I think ideally we'd like to see these numbers being the same. Okay, so I do want to point out one thing that we had to add before I end this video, and that's we made an extra code line. I'm going to click here so you can see this window. If you look at the first row, I made a row. I added an extra row using this button here, add a new row, and I called it independent work period. And what we did was we started it at the beginning when the very first thing started, and we had to go all the way to the end when the last part of the independent working ended. So basically, it's just one big long code to show that that is the length of the entire independent work period. It was important for me to be able to have that so I could have that entire length, because that is the only way I was able to calculate this percentage and this 44 seconds out of 3 minutes and 57 seconds. So we did spend a lot of time talking about the need to create new rows. I'm going to talk about in my next post, I'll talk a little bit about iterator reliability and how we're going to use that new row command to be able to calculate iterator reliability very easily. I just as a sum up here, I'm really excited about having these numbers right on here, and the fact that I can code all my movies and then see these numbers right away and very easily switch back and forth between them. I think it's going to make my data very accurate. I'll be able to look at specific incidences and go back to the videos very easily, and I can easily copy paste and make graphs. So I'm very excited about this.